let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see you when I look into your eyes. We are the same, and we are light, and we are one. And we can make a difference.
Okay, hi there. I'm Cary Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. This is our 21st Century Superhuman show. And today I have with me the illustrious Rob Potter. Hey, Rob, how are you today?
Good, Cary. Thank you. It's an honor to be on your show and to share some information with you today. We've been talking for the last couple of days. It's been really fun and really resonating. And I, with you as a person and your information, and boy, are you lucky where you're living down there. This is a great time to be down there. Just
crazy
great.
Times on planet Earth, huh?
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. So you are an amazing person. I'm so excited to be here with you today. I get chills just even thinking about it because you've been sharing all these stories with me. And I know that you've been a contactee since a very young age, and we've kind of exchanged notes. I think some of us have crossed maybe the grid patterns, and ended up in similar places. Earlier on, I was in Laguna Beach, which is where you grew up, and the home of Timothy Leary. And I know you started actually having contact there, and you have something called The Promise Revealed. That's your website. It's been your radio show. It's kind of your story that you've been leading out on the planet. And you've traveled all over the world. You've spoken at conferences and run conferences. You're a Venusian Contactee, which I have learned so much in the last few days because I had read a lot of Billy Meyer's stuff, and you said, oh, that's Pleiadian. And I'm like, well, I guess I've had a lot of Pleiadian knowledge, but you've been sharing with me that the Venusians are now coming forward, and they have this beautiful, peaceful, elder civilization that they've been transmitting things to you to share with us. And so tell us about your life. Tell us how all this started happening and what made you wake up at a young age and kind of stay on the path. Give us a little bit of your journey.
Okay. Well, you're right. It's a wonderful spiritual information, and the Pleiadians and the Venusians, and many of them work together. For me, it started, at an early age, around 16 or 17, I worked with Fred Bell, and he was a NASA scientist, a PhD at 15, studied the shock time of the atomic bomb, works in the Air Force, was involved with or fighting a whistleblowing on the cover-up of UFOs, worked on the Saturn, Gemini, and Apollo missions, had contact with the Pleiades eventually in Laguna Beach. I was getting Billy Meyer's contact notes when I was 16 or 17 years old.
Wow.
Hot off the presses. So I was learning this information, and eventually this culminated in a physical, probably a series of physical contacts on the earth. And then at one time I was beamed up. I can only remember part of that experience, and there's part of my causal body that needs to be developed to grasp that from what I understand. So fast forward to having these experiences mostly out of body. This is chronicled. And then to the desert, where I met a guy named Gabriel Green, who was a very famous UFO contactee from the 50s, like George Adamski. There was a group in the early 50s, starting with George Adamski, that were receiving physical contacts. These are the original contactees in the modern day era.
Wow.
And these were blatant open landings, communications, informational exchanges, and rights to other worlds and different things for a lot of different beings. And they were reporting and sharing this information. It did have a spiritual nature because the information, as I mentioned before, is about spiritual consciousness and knowledge and growth.
Right.
And it's not a religion. It's about science and spirituality merging. That's what's taking place here. George Van Tassel, Dr. Frank Stranges, who meant Valiant Thor at the Pentagon, later became another one of my mentors. Then we had Gloria Lee. We had the Howard Menger, Buck Nelson, or fellow Angelucci, Reinhold Schmidt. A lot of these beings were having different meetings with different Solar Council members, and they were sharing information. So these were the giant rock days. So I started out at a young age. I met Fred Bell when I was in high school. He developed a product with these pyramids, and you know, I do wear them on my head. It's for meditation and all that stuff. It's one of my products on the website.
Doesn't that protect you from 5G also?
It does reduce it. I'm trying to get some meter. I'm waiting for a more upgraded meter to determine the variances. I have one now that's showing some, but it's in a unique bandwidth. So
Cool.
I'm in that phase of research right now. But
Fred Bell was he was related to Alexander Graham Bell, right?
Yeah, it was his grandnephew. Yeah, his father invented the automatic transmission alternator for Henry Ford. He used to run through Henry Ford's hemp fields while his father was working with Henry Ford. And so he knows the whole oil scam, because Henry Ford wanted to do hemp oil. It's renewable.
Wow.
It's the cleanest burning fuel oil other than whale blubber, and it's renewable. But the Rockefellers would have nothing of it, and they outlawed hemp, blah, blah, blah. Because we traveled the country with the National Health Federation, and then a guy named Alan Goldman, who was a friend of ours, wanted to start the Whole Life Expo. That was the big one. And this guy opened with a bang. In New York, that thing had 300 booths. It was way bigger, and at the Jacob Javits Center there, way back when. Huge convention. So this started the New Age circus of expounding these positive ideas, and the extraterrestrials and the ascended masters were behind this movement. And it's not about masters. We're all masters. This is about understanding ascension and what that means. So in the 80s, after having, 5 or 6 years with the Pleiadians and Fred Bell. This went on even longer, but I moved to Palm Springs because I was a massage therapist and went to UC Santa Barbara, and I lived up in Yucca Valley near Giant Rock, which is one of those old places. And that's where, through my connections at these conventions, I met Michael Allegian and a guy named Frank Chili, and there was a small UFO community that Fred was part of, and Gabriel Green, and there were some extraordinary experiences there. So I met Gabriel Green. I'd call him up, and I'd go up to his place, and he would teach me things about the interactions of the space people. And some of my experiences with the Venusians began back there with them. So anyway, so Gabriel Green would help initiate some of these experiences with extraterrestrials, and I was learning a lot. And then at one point, I was having difficulty understanding my experiences with Fred Bell, because many of them were out-of-body experiences. They were inside these pyramid systems late at night. The house, a sacred energy would come into the house, and next thing I know, I would be out of my body. I was doing certain exercises in breathing and in concentration. And so that was a different thing. And so I just kept saying the ships would follow me home, literally. And early in the morning, I'd just look out my window in the light, and I'd feel this love, literally. I was like, well, this thing. I go, I just want to know. Why don't you? And I was like, why don't you come out, man? I'm like, what's the story? And I knew it was a probe. And I was looking, I was like, can't I meet you? And I just kind of I needed more at that point. So the physical meetings were clandestine. They were set up for me alone to know, and winks and energy exchanges and telepathic communication. And that was all they were. I couldn't ask any questions and all that. He called me up one day on a pager and said, the Ascended Master Hilarion is sending a teacher to you. When I hung up, the phone rang, and it rang like a fire alarm.
Wow.
And the people in the store across the street were looking at me, they used to pick it up. So it had an echo. Long story short is that said, get out there. So I went, made sure I went. There was a bunch of people, and the teacher was a military guy. And he worked with the government. Unfortunately, he was under mind control. He found out about his mind control. He broke his mind control and continued to work for a month. They put him in jail. They're going to send him to prison. They offered him to be a colonel, to get a house, a car, not to be in mind control, and to go into Beelzebub's court, as he called it, with some of these tall grays. And he said, no way, I'm not doing it. Because they kind of wanted, the military wanted an inside guy because he was under mind control and they were trying to extract information of what was going on. Because a lot of these patriots in there, you know, they were ordered into this relationship with some of these regressive races. So,
Wow.
anyway, so that's his story. So the next thing, he takes me out. He does I have to learn a lot from him in 2 days, like high metaphysical parasitic relationships. He cleared up the grays. This is in 84. The whole gray thing was coming out. It was very confusing between the wonderful benevolent space brothers and, you know, the cow, the bug guy. So all of this, I was able to equaniminize in my mental view of the interactions out there through him. Then he took me out and a Semyasi spaceship landed in front of me. So that's how I never need to see another spaceship. Okay, I get it. It's real. And I just have to accept that, you know, face-to-face, ongoing personal interaction is unavailable at this time. I certainly wasn't ready. And I'm barely ready now. And I'm not getting any interaction. They do want to get information exchanging and for people to be aware that it's happening. And I have so many predecessors before me with way more experience, and I'm not special in any way. I'm not super psychic. You know, I have levels. I'm human. I have impatience. I get angry. I get sad. I cry. So this is not about me. This is about the message. Consider me as a postman who's had to go through postal stool and kind of explain how to open the letter or something.
Beautiful.
So there's so many other people that have similar and other excellent information which dovetails. I knew, of course, Dr. Frank Strange's, and I knew him from way back out in the 70s, and I did not get to know him that well. And I only saw him for a minute, and I was kind of in awe. That's Dr. Frank Strange's. He meant Valiant Thor. And I was like, wow, I read that book, and amazing. There's another one. You know, it was a bunch of these UFO contactees that I was being exposed. So Dr. Frank was a wonderful guy when I finally met him, and I decided to join his meeting. And he was just had so many intimate experiences with Valiant Thor. He would go on at least twice a year, and he had numerous excursions with them throughout the world. Amazing stories. And of course, Fred Bell was quite esoteric with me. I was learning a tremendous amount about plasma, physics, pyramids, the Great White Brotherhood, and many different things. So that's kind of my early thing. And so basically, I kind of never really went public with my stuff until 2012. I started blogging on a guy named Cobra's site because the military guy with Gabriel Green, I said, well, why are they contacting me? What's the story? And he says, well, they want you to work for the Victory of the Light. And then a guy named Cobra came out and talked about the Victory of the Light. And I remembered that.
Wow.
And I told him, and I said, yeah, I'll work for the Victory of the Light. And that's when I went up, the time I was beamed up. That's when I kind of officially, I guess, I don't know. And this is just something that everyone's going to experience. And this is part of, if I can have these experiences, anyone can. You know, I'm nothing special. It's simply just attuning yourself and having an open mind and having a peaceful and a good heart. Right. These are the examples from my friends in the Contactee movement. It's not about ego. It's not about money. It's about just doing it. James Gilliland, Alex Collier, you know, there's many others. Some of these screens. This is a conference I did in 2016 with Laura Eisenhower, Corey Good, Michael Sala. With these people, we've got a couple of orbs in this picture. I know you like the orb pictures.
I love the orbs. Yeah.
There's a picture of Laura at one of our drum circles. So we got the orb people coming.
Wow, that is amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah. And then, I guess you got that one. I do these different conferences. This was in Australia. That was in Irvine. This is 2018 from Venus with Love. We had George Filer and Scott Warner and different people. And then this is a wonderful lady, very knowledgeable pyramids. Her name is Mary Hardy. She has a wonderful Knights Templar kind of group.
Yes. Yep.
This is a lady in Canada. I did travel to China. Met a really sweet girl there. This is the China team. that this is where we were arrested and got deported. This was a previous trip to China for a large group meditation. Yeah, so I do these different things. Here's a Bolivia trip. This is another Bolivia trip to the Salar. And one of the amazing things on these journeys, besides the beautiful vistas, and the purpose of these journeys, is that we get to actually connect with the space family like we do here. Louie speaks at my groups in Mount Shasta, Machu Picchu. And this is my little friend, Omnek. She came from the astral plane of Venus at the request of the Ascended Masters. Her mission's over, and she's done her teachings, but she, consents to come to my conference if possible. Louie is an amazing contactee. His resume is pretty incredible. Contacted since the age of 13. His mother is with him with a physical ship. Physical groups at the age of 17 where ships were coming and having, tens of witnesses. I mean, physical ships, lights moving, jumping. So he made a very big impression on a lot of people. And he continues to act in a way as a actual representative for programmed contacts. This is, we're going to meet at this time, we're going to show up, and we're going to work with you. And this is what our groups do. We have programmed contacts where when people come on these tours and they actually show up in groups. And the more important thing is not just to see the ships. That's a good part. And a lot of people need that. But for me, what this is about the time that you spend in meditation. We go into these guided imaging, and we do, they speak to him telepathically. He does an automatic writing when we're doing certain meditations, and then there's a message given. And it's very positive. And what happens is you can feel, it's something in your perception and in your thinking. They actually install what they called like the Christic crystal or the cesium crystal, and you feel like a warmth on your hands. So there's a light body activation that, these are not, it's no negative agenda here, but this is a kind of an initiatory type of thing to get people to be more into to be aware and to consciously manage your energy. So that's what happens with Louie's groups, and he does it all around the world. He works with much smaller groups. He does not speak English.
And what is his original country of birth?
He's born in Bolivia. His family are lawyers. He's an architect. He used to go and find ancient, Bolivian artifacts. He would go to the sacred sites and he would find stuff. And but he's an architect and has an architectural business and firm. And he travels the world. He's written many books. He's been to incredible experiences in what we call the Agartha Network or the Great White Brotherhood. The Agartha Network is in one particular section. There are many different groups, individual groups, breakaways from the surface, negative groups, positive groups, interdimensional groups. But the largest group is a combination of Lemurian and Atlantean civilizations that went under Earth at the time of the cataclysm.
Right.
And the big flood and the axial flip that took place precipitated the preparation of these underground shelters and bases where they've remained for about 30,000 years. So from these bases, they watch, and they've been kept very separate from mankind, but they've guided certain elements and surface dwellers over the millennia into life underground in certain instances. They're not any better than us, but of course they're smaller, much smaller, so they live in much more closer harmony like people do on an island. And there's a more refined vibration there. There was radiation and other elements that allowed for some unique societal and kind of human development. But they've divided into 12 sections, so there are 12 different regions. And the Abbey of the Seven Rays is, the head regent is the master Soromez. And that's, Louie was able to meet him. He was invited there some years ago. He went to a specific secret location, and a rock opened up. Extraterrestrial took him down. He went on a shuttle to a certain location. The governments probably know about it, but there's a golden disk of the sun.
Right.
And he went to an underground temple complex where he had a communication with this master who, it's very kind of an energetic thing. It's a kind of an other dimensional thing as he describes it. And the master took him up in a hole in this underground area. And the water was there. It was like a swimming pool. The water was dancing on the ground beneath it. They got up. There wasn't even a dome. It was just energy. And there was a little hill off from this dome. And in this hill, there are some stones like Stonehenge. And levitating above the stones was this golden disc, kind of like a spaceship. And according to some of the higher dimensionals, this is a planetary stabilization device that works through the higher dimensionals in the monitoring of all life streams, so that they understand what's going on and can make sure that the free will system is maintained. That's one of the very important things, is that this nursery of life, this school of the soul, maintains its integrity.
Beautiful.
And mankind's free will and negation can take us to the side, but that's what they're doing. That's in the Andes, the center picture there. The one on the right there is on Lake Titicaca, not too far from Louie's property, but that's on the island of the sun there.
Right.
That particular dock is closed right now. There's some, the natives are fighting about turf wars too. And the one on the left is the volcano of Sahama. Now, Louie has been not only to the Abbey of the Seven Rays, which is in Peru, beneath the earth, where he met the 12 regents of the inner earth and the interior government, but beneath the lake as well, where the golden disk of the sun exists. And he said he could see something else underneath the base. And he said, "What's that?" He said, they said, "That's a Confederation base." So this inner earth network of higher spiritually developed beings, the remnants of Lemurian Atlantis, that have a, entire network of civilizations, that they all have different lifestyles and different technologies that they share. They're all connected. They're much smaller. They're entirely different civilizations. They are now preparing to interact with humanity. It's called the New Great Shambhala, and they've been outfitting South America. The picture on the left is taken in the interview that I did with him in front of the volcano of Sahama, that mountain that we saw. So there exists a very large Sintamani stone. And the Sintamani stone,
I'm getting chills,
is another stone, which is a technology used by the Great White Brotherhood.
Yes.
And the history of that is on my website. But basically, it's like, think of it as like a big crystal that they place certain frequencies. And what it's doing is it's recalibrating the Earth's psionic, electronic, etheric grid lines, what we call ley lines. And this is going to infuse more cosmic life force energy into the Earth, and to allow humankind to work with the nature spirits. They're here. We are going to start to see them.
Beautiful.
We need to open up our energy. So that's one of his experiences, is they invited him there, sitting in the place not too far from where he and I are sitting with 3 other people.
Right.
And on 2015, a spaceship appeared over the group, and he was taken inside the mountain in the astral. His body was there with the group, but he witnessed a light come up from this giant Sintamani. And so he said he saw successions and 3 pulses of even greater legions of angels.
Wow.
Saying that it has begun the beginning of the 4th dimensional energy movement for the Earth out of the 3rd dimension. He's also been to the Temple of Purity, which is beneath the mountain of Olampu. He had to eat vegetables, raw vegetables, for 90 days straight.
Wow.
And then he was allowed to go into a sanctuary with what they call the shining ones, the ones that are white. He said their lifestyle is very, very different. We would not relate to it. It's very, they're all telepathic.
Very pure.
Very kind of it's another level
of being.
Yeah, I mean.
So Rob, you've been doing adventures with him for several years then, right?
Yeah, we've been going down there. I've been organizing probably 6 or 7 tours, or 6 with him, I think, maybe. And I've been down there like 7 times. He has other groups that I go to, world groups.
Do you think you might do one this year, or hard to say with all of
Not this year. Maybe we're hoping the end of next year. We're planning on it.
Okay.
Around the end of next year.
Neat.
So that's 18 months away or more.
And somebody can follow that at the Promise
Reveal.com. Yeah. Once again, this guy was the guy who had George Adamski meet that Venusian woman. I'm not sure he was having physical contacts, but he was extremely telepathic. He was an archaeologist, and he was a channel who would voice channel at the same time the exact words of Richard Miller. So it was showing that it was a technology being used outside them. It wasn't a fake channel. These are in the days they actually put a technology beam. The person wouldn't know what they're saying. They'd wake up as if from a sleep, and their voice would have spoken for 30 minutes on information they couldn't possibly know. So he translated. They invited him to join them, and he looks the same today, and he wrote many books. Other Tongues, Other Flesh, and is probably one of the most famous. And he was able to look at the Akashic records from these inner retreats in South America and the golden disk of the sun. So he knew about that. And from that information, he created what's called an external retreat, where people were invited to live a monastic lifestyle to begin to work with the Great White Brotherhood, these masters, that are living in a service to Earth in preparation. And there's pictures of archaeological digs with spaceships, that.
And
that
where
he was in.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's alive and living in South America or on Venus.
And tell us his name again.
George Hunt Williamson.
George Hunt Williamson. And so you said he's related to, there's connection with Louie?
Yeah, because he wrote about the golden disk of the sun. Louie wrote about his experience, and George Hunt Williamson talked about the ancient sites in Peru and the extraterrestrial contact in his writings. He talks about Ollantaytambo and these ancient sites, and like Louie, he knows what these sites were actually used for. And many of these megalithic sites, like Sacsayhuaman and Tiwanaku, they're actually outposts of the Lemurians from 70,000 years ago.
Wow.
These were built.
Nice.
They survived the earthquakes. Different civilizations throughout those centuries have built on top of them, but
cool.
Interesting.
Yes. So you have an event planned for this summer in Mount Shasta. If people would like to get together with you, and looks like a really cool group, Laura Eisenhower, and it looks like great fun. I know I was in Mount Shasta in Y2K, which is a long time ago, and I know it's grown a lot, but yeah. So tell us a little bit about this event. And you've had this a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to invite you to come as my guest, if you want. It's going to be fun. So we're very hopeful that things are going to be better. Phase 2 is open, a lot of restaurants. There's bars here in Mount Shasta you can go to. There's no social distancing. People are not wearing masks. There's no heavy police monitoring or control of that. People are basically most people don't realize that you can fly right now. All you have to do is get your temperature taken and wear a mask, and you're here. You can drive anywhere in the United States right now. This is all just, hopefully going to be released completely. I
Nice.
have to talk to the local venue to make sure they'll allow me to have it take place. But I believe it's going to take place at that point in time.
Cool.
So we're going to have a great group, and we have wonderful experiences. We do night watches. Louie has a group. They paid for special access on the mountain. And Louie goes up, and the spaceships do come at night. We will have a big light show for our group. And a wonderful group of speakers. It's going to be 5 days, I hope. And
wow.
People can make reservations on a hotel or at a campsite. Maybe not at a campsite yet, but hotels are taking reservations, and you can always cancel them. So we just want people to keep it in mind, be prepared if you want to come. When you're ready, just get your ticket and come. I definitely want to have it. And, I will make it there's a place I think I can have it if it's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And the other place won't let me. Have a friend who has a place that I could do it. So pretty soon I'm pretty comfortable taking some tickets for money, but I'm not going to want people to do that until they're comfortable.
Right.
But you can make plans if you want. It's going to be a great event. I think it will take place. So
nice.
It's on the beautiful slopes, and we always have a great time.
Nice. ThePromiseRevealed.com, right?
Yep. There's a banner there, and I'm not sure what it's going to look like by the time that people see this or get to it, but I'm very grateful for the support. You can check out my products. If you have any problems, there's contact information there. So I like to deal with people personally for any commerce because it's kind of broken.
Rob, I know you don't really like talking about it too much, but I feel like you're really Mr. Wizard. When I was looking at all the different products you have at your site, I feel like you've received so much transmission over so many years through, the Venusians and other contactees that you really have formulated some really amazing energy tools there. And I think there's something people should take advantage of. I've already been calling friends saying, you should go check out these things at Rob's site. They're really awesome.
We're gonna demonstrate them at the conference. I'm gonna have
Nice.
The full system up for the first time. It's mostly Pleiadian design, but these pyramids are universal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's negative ions. It produces a negative ion effect on the body. It's like water meeting air in thunderstorms. If you need fresh air, if you want to reject the COVID and all that stuff, you go into these technologies. This is it's called the Promise Nuclear Receptor. I'm in contract with one of Dr. Bell's daughters. There's one that has her own company. She took over Dr. Bell's old company.
Nice.
But I'm in contract with her other daughter. So I'm selling this. These bridges are my own designs. And this one here is the original design of Dr. Fred Bell. He got this from the Andromedans. This is called the holographic projector.
My jaw. I'm feeling it like through my head as you hold it up.
Yeah, it has these 144 pyramids there. And basically what it does is it works reharmonizing the body's energy. So we have this negative energy that's all around us and in our life. So we have this toxic chemicals, we have bad air, we have 5G, we have all this type of stuff. So what it does is this tells the body, the DNA, to stay strong. So you're still affected by it, but your body does not take in the negative energy. This reverses the polarity and the spin. It's like a satellite dish.
I can feel it from here, actually. That is very cool. I love it. Wow.
I'm only taking orders on my site for those right now. It's not up as a product. I have a long way to go, but
good for people to know about, though. That's important stuff.
I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me share that. We do have pyramids you can sleep under and stuff, and but great things are coming for us here.
You have the violet ray wand too.
Oh, I love that thing. I put crystals. I have videos on how to use that. We use lasers, right? So you take crystals like this, you put a laser on your head. I do a layout around you, and I have lasers, and you do a laser crystal treatment. So you have sound, light, and then over there, I got a keyboard and I play music. So we go by we do scales within the key of different frequencies. And these relate to the endocrine glands and also the acupuncture lines. So if you think about that, right? So how many acupuncture meridians do we have? We have 12. So how many notes of the scale? 12.
Right.
The half notes, 7 goes to 12 and the 13. So we play this frequency and you have sound, light, and color. Each sound has a specific color. So the lasers, we can attenuate eventually. I'm trying to work with people who are into this possibly, that I can I can get to create a sound, a musical note, and transfer it into a laser system. So we have a sound, color, and then we have a specific crystal that associates with each color and frequency. So now it's sound, light, color, and pyramid energy.
I won't use the word healing, but I will use the word, it'd be really awesome for you to be designing and putting together these parts and pieces for people to set up chambers all over the place to do this kind of energy clearing work.
That's an idea. That's really, thank you for saying that. I mean, I do that, and they're very beautiful. They're kind of expensive because they're made with nickel and gold.
Well,
it's a whole manufacturing process.
Maybe a community could invest, I mean, people are ready for the med beds. They're ready for the celestial chambers. And you're like one of the first people I've seen that's got a bunch of this technology all together. And I think you could be designing those, and communities could be setting them up, and we can start going through that change now.
That's what the idea of this, actually, the Pleiadians gave it, and I'll just talk about it now since you've talked about it, but it's called divine intervention. So divine intervention is helping us help ourselves. Yes. So what they've done is they've created this Tesla coil technology, and it creates a large volume of balanced magnetic energy. We take these pyramids with the Tesla coil, they become very powerful. So now we're irradiating this scalar wave energy, and the Pleiadians gave us various designs. Some we utilize with crystals in the base, and then it shoots out. Just for the heck of it, why not? I'm gonna walk over and just show you this device that's on my living room. It radiates energy from the crystals into the body. So you can actually program this device. So this one you see, this is my, the light's not on, but.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it has a bunch of crystals there as you get closer. So we connect this all up to a Tesla coil. It's called an ion shower. So this becomes connected with the Tesla coil. And there's my little roommate, Yuki. So there's my friend, Yuki, and that rains negative ions down. So that's really cool. So we come over here, and we have this pyramid system. You see how that's looking there? So we look down here. So it's on a plastic plate. And you can see there's crystals in there.
You can feel it in my head.
Yeah, it does the Tesla coil.
Well, and the other idea might be if somebody had an interest in setting up a chamber somewhere where they are, a celestial chamber, a med bed idea, maybe they could contact you and say, hey, we'd like to finance putting one of these together.
These technologies, like the lasers and the crystals you can get from me, are very cheap ways to activate your body and your consciousness to tuning in to the magnetic fields and to how the endocrine glands, the chakras work. Because of the pyramid energy and the crystal with a laser, you put a laser on your third eye with a crystal, you're going to feel it. And if I have certain teachings and trainings that can help you actually use this in a conscious manifestation process. That's part of this technology. What the idea is this field accelerates everyone's energy. So if you have everyone praying for world peace or invoking or just singing are living in joy and consciously sending love. If you have Buddhist monks,
Right.
hundreds of them, and one of these around there, radiating energy, 10 people will have the influence of 10,000. So this is the idea, is for the ground crew to start connecting with the higher dimensionals.
Yes.
For us to raise up on our vibration in our consciousness through the conscious management of energy. This is not a passive letting someone else do something. This is about developing the tools and the protocols of concentration in the mind to be able to connect with the interdimensionals.
Nice.
To actually utilize your energy and realize the power of your manifestation of your thoughts.
Nice.
Through focusing on good words, deeds, and actions for others. So this technology is only technology. It's like a stone. Do we worship the stone? No, we admire its beauty and we connect with it. There's actually a type of consciousness in crystals. They're the highest form of consciousness in the mineral kingdom, like gold and crystals are the premier energies. Just like of all the plants, we go to jasmine, plumeria, tuberose, these beautiful, sweet smelling flowers. So when we connect with ourselves, the answers are within, and we can create a beautiful planet. We just have to focus on the right things. We're just moving away from this. So the idea that I want to do is just to promote for people to, through these technologies, to become aware and to focus on the good things in life, and to have good relations with others.
Awesome. Right on, Rob. Thank you so much for talking with me today. Here we continue on, on this grand adventure called life and planet Earth. And we are here in this time of great awakening. We're really thankful to be here as a global family, a global community. And thank you for your insights, which are powerful and beautiful to help inspire people to take the next step in their own expression of their highest self and their well-being.
Amen to that.
Okay, I want to remind everybody to breathe, smile, and love. Find Rob at The Promise Revealed, and we shall see you soon on this great rainbow of light. Okay, see you, everybody. Ciao.
Empower your life as a 21st century superhuman with host Cary Kirastar Ellis and guests. Navigate these times of great change with Cary's 21st Century Superhuman book series, being called the most important books on the planet and guidebooks for our times. You are a creator. Remember to breathe, smile, and love. For as we change ourselves, we change the world. Learn more at 21stcenturysuperhuman.com.